Cool. Right. Back. What can be damaged?
What can be damaged if you turn the steering wheel when the car isn't moving? The tires.
Makes sense. Which sign means there will be two-way traffic crossing. Sights. That's right away. Crossing area. Probably be what must you do?
Switch your headlights to
What should we do before we make an entry? What could be up there? Let's press what? Press the no. It's also true. So second there's a second. What kids can do to help just watching it? Nope. Nope.
When must you contact the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Agency, DVLA?
No. Not really sure. This what should we do? What's this one?
This junction, controlled by traffic lights, has a marked area between two stop lines. What's this for?
Okay. Just be a minute. What should we do?
What should you do when you park a car facing downhill?
Oh, it's fine. Makes sense.
What do you need before you can legally use a motor vehicle on the road? An appropriate driving license.
Makes sense.
What should you do if you're driving a slow-moving vehicle on a narrow winding road?
Some things.
Which type of vehicle should you be ready to give way to as you approach this bridge?
What is the national speed limit on a single carriageway road for cars and motorcycles?
Simple carriageway. Yes. Is it a T junction or is it not? Yes. True. T junction is not. into another system. 90 times the red line. My system B.
You're driving in busy traffic. You want to pull up just after a junction on the left. When should you signal? Which sign shows that a tanker is carrying dangerous goods?
What's the problem? What's the danger?
You're waiting to turn right out of a minor road. It's clear to the left, but a lorry is coming from the right. Why should you wait, even if you have enough time to turn? You're waiting to turn right out of a minor road. It's clear to the left, but a lorry is coming from the right. Why should you wait, even if you have enough time to turn?
Very long road. Ah, yes.
Anything overtaking the lorry will be hidden from view. Wait until a bend so that you can see oncoming headlights. Go past slowly so that you can react to unseen hazards.
You're traveling at the legal speed limit. What should you do if the vehicle behind approaches quickly, flashing its headlights? Touch the brakes sharply to show your brake lights. You're traveling at the legal speed limit. What should you do if the vehicle behind approaches quickly, flashing its headlights? Allow the vehicle to overtake. Maintain your speed to prevent the vehicle from overtaking.
Probably just a lot of overtaking.
You're waiting at a Pelican Crossing. What does it mean when the red light changes to flashing amber?
Might change it. What is-
What does it mean when a moving vehicle is showing a flashing amber beacon?
No, no.
What does it mean if your vehicle keeps bouncing after you sharply press down and release on the bodywork over a wheel? What does it mean if your vehicle keeps bouncing after you sharply press down and release on the bodywork over a wheel?
It's on the body right there. Probably. Can understand the question.
At an incident, a casualty isn't breathing. What should you do while helping them to start breathing again?
Why has the bus driver positioned the bus on the left? The sign on the roundabout is directing traffic to keep left. Why does the cyclist take the longer route around the roundabout? What do the yellow lines along the edge of the road mean?
Okay, is that you, my man?
I think so.
Ah, it looks very like it to me. Yeah. Let me just have a wee.
It's just I'm on this last question here, and it's not there's no next button.
Yeah,
But
that's you got to number 50. That's the full test done.
Cool.
Well done. Well done. Okay, so I'll just take back control of the mouse again then. And let's have a wee go at, we'll review it to see how many you had trouble with or how many you flagged. So you flagged 22 questions, which is fine, which is good. I mean, at least you did it right, and that's the most important thing. Well done. Because I know people don't want to fail tests, and they sometimes try to hide, but I can't really fix it if I don't know what's wrong. So that's good. Well done. So now what we're going to do is going to end the test. And you'll see that the ones that come up red are the ones you've flagged, as well as the ones that, you may have got wrong, if you like. Quite a lot of green there for having flagged so many, so that's a good sign. That's, that's not too bad. So what we'll do is we'll have a wee quick look through some of these red questions, and I'll explain them to you a little bit before we move on to the next part. And then we'll get an idea of what your weakest area is by having a look at them after we do the assessment. So the first question then, 3 up. So what I do is I look at the question first, and because there can be sometimes 4 or 5 possible answers, apart from the one you've given, I try to find out by looking at it what's confused you about the question. Okay, so let me just have a look at it first. Okay, so a lot of the time, I mean, that's not a wrong answer, by the way, just so you know. A lot of times the reason why people have trouble with multiple choice, and I kind of think by watching yourself doing it, that it's not so much you don't know the answer to the question, just so you know. You may have this thing goes on with people with multiple choice where you get confused about 2 answers that are very similar or 2 answers which are correct, and you go for the one that's not the one they want, if you like. So
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that you don't know the answer, just so you know, just be aware of that, because I've looked at some of the answers you've given have been correct, even though they're not the right answer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get you.
So you probably want to get your phone ready to take wee snapshots, or you want to take a couple of notes and some of the stuff that I say to you, because this is the bits and bobs. This computer will remember these questions that you've got wrong, of course, every time you come, but sometimes you maybe want to take a photograph of the question. I think is a good idea. And build up a little, a little group of photographs, if you like, in an album in your phone, which has the questions that you've had trouble with. And then, you know what? It helps for revision just before you go into the test. And it's a good way of doing it. Some of my students said they really thought that was a brilliant idea, because when they went to the test center, just before they went in, they had a quick look through their phone, and quick revision.
Sounds good. Sounds
Yeah,
good.
but when you drive or ride on a motorway, the reason why you must look further ahead of yourself is because the things happen very quickly in motorways. You know, like an accident maybe up ahead, and it can lead to you having to brake earlier because of that. And you've answered it correct. You've said travel much faster than you would on other roads. And I suppose that's correct. But you can see that that's a better answer. So look much further ahead than you would on another road, because you're traveling at a faster speed. You may have to react to someone stopping up ahead of you. And that's when really serious accidents on motorways occur. Is that okay? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I get it.
Happy days. Okay, let's see what the next one is then. These traffic lights will give everybody a headache, I'm afraid. And it's a representation that I'll put in the list of things I'm going to do with you to cover traffic lights, because I think you've had a bit of trouble with traffic lights and combinations of the lights and things. But I'll cut to the chase quite quickly here. On a set of traffic lights, right? They have only got 2 different sort of combinations that you could ever see on the road. One is that as you come up to the lights, you'll have a green light, and then it will go amber on its own, and then the next one up is red. Now, that's always the same: green on its own, amber on its own, and then red on its own. Now, on the way back down again, it changes slightly different. Do you know what comes after red then on the way down?
I'm not too sure. Like, is it traffic lights, or is it
Well,
the Pelican I don't really know what a Pelican Crossing is, really.
I see what you mean. I see what you mean. And what I'm trying to explain to you here is that it doesn't really matter whether it's a pedestrian crossing, a Pelican Crossing, or it's an ordinary set of traffic lights. The combination is always the same on the way up, but on the way down, it changes, and it changes only for one pedestrian crossing. If you can remember this, what I'm telling you now, it will save you probably 5 questions that people get wrong all the time. And they get them wrong every time, by the way, just so you know, because it's confusing, right? So on the way up, it's green on its own, amber on its own, then red on its own. Now, on the way down, It changes for one crossing only, a Pelican Crossing. It changes. It doesn't do what it does for a traffic light. And what it does for a traffic light is it does red, then red and amber together, and
Right.
then green, and then green. Now, for a Pelican Crossing, it does something completely different. And it's the only time it ever happens on traffic lights. So you don't have to remember all the traffic lights or anything. You only need to remember that it changes for one traffic light only, and it's called the Pelican. So when it comes back down again, it goes from red, instead of going red and amber together, it goes red, then flashing amber.
Right.
It's
Right.
it's the only time that happens, Daniel. Now, the flashing amber to you as a driver or to a motorist or a cyclist is that on the flashing amber, you can go.
Right.
You don't have to wait for green. Now, that's the time that you can go on an amber light.
I think I know. Oh, sorry.
You know, if there's nobody on the crossing, of course, that's you can't go for somebody on it still, of course. But if it goes flashing amber, you're allowed to go, as long as there's nobody on it that you like. So there you go. But on the way up, how does it go? You tell me.
On the way up, it's is it goes
starts off green.
Aye. Oh yeah. So green, flashing amber, then red.
Now on the way up, initially, it goes up.
Oh.
On the way up at the start, it goes green, then amber on its own, then red on its own. On the way down, that's the bit you were thinking about. On the way down, it's slightly different. On the way down, it goes starts off red, then it goes flashing amber, and then it goes green. Now, on an ordinary set of traffic lights, it doesn't do that. On an ordinary set of traffic lights, it goes red, then red and amber together, and then green. So the only difference then, if you like, between all the crossings is that one crossing is called the Pelican Crossing, and it has a flashing amber on the way down. And that's what they're trying to find out with this question. Do you know the answer to?
Right. So they're trying to figure out whether I know what a Pelican Crossing is.
They're trying to find out, do you know what they're trying to find out, do you know that a Pelican Crossing has a flashing amber light?
Right. Flashing.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to find out here, my man. They're trying to find out. They're trying to say, like, hold on a second. Does this guy know? And so they're asking that question in that way, and it can be confusing because they ask it in so many different ways. You know, they ask it in so many different ways, but you just have to try and remember that it's slightly different than an ordinary set of traffic lights in the fact that on the way back down again, instead of having red and amber together, it changes. It goes red, flashing amber, and then green.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I get you. So normal ones have them both. But, well, no, not them both. Phrase that wrong. Normal ones go on the way back up. It goes from green to no, it goes from I messed up in my head.
It's all right. No, it's all right. Sometimes it helps you to draw something. Now, you see what I would do is if you've got a pen and paper handy there, I'll just draw this for you. It's quite easy to do, really. This is a mouse I'm doing this with, so you'll have to forgive my drawing. I'm not very good with the mouse, so I would just do 3 circles like that, look. And then I would just put the color in it, you know, like green. There's G, then amber, and then red. And then you do on the way down then. This is the bit that changes. That's on the way up. A wee arrow like that to show up. So you drive along, you see green, it goes to amber and then goes to red. On the way down, this is when it changes. It starts off red. Then instead of having red and amber, what does it do? It goes flash and amber.
Right.
Flash and amber. And then green. So it starts off here as you drive towards it green. Then it goes amber on its own. And then it goes red on its own. Okay, on the way back down, it goes red. And then flash and amber.
Yeah.
And then green. And of course, that tells you that it's time to go then.
Yeah. And if it's clear, you can go on the amber, right?
As long as there's nobody on the crossing you like. Yeah, you've got to wait till everybody's off the crossing. That's it, Daniel. Yeah, that's my bad joke, by the way.
All right.
That's what I call a memory trigger, because you'll remember that better than you remember anything. You'll say, yeah, you know. Yeah, you don't know. I don't know where people remember them things because they're bad jokes or because they just sound silly. But anyway, if it works, remember it. Flash and amber. Make sure there's nobody on the crossing that you like. Okay, there we go. All right, let's have a look at the next one then. When may you cross a solid white line in the middle of the road? Now, what they're talking about is these guys here, aren't they? Yeah?
Yeah.
These white lines. So it says to you, when may you cross them? So you do know what these white lines are for, don't you?
I thought normally, you know, the way they have just one. So with these ones, I was like, they have, you know, those wee dots on them. So I wasn't too sure. Are they like you can't cross them, or so don't really know what the
Well,
difference
if that's
is.
just you driving here, right?
Yeah.
And there's a white line here, you're not allowed to cross it. It actually says, do not overtake and cross these white lines. And if someone's coming this way, because they've got a white line on their side, it means the same.
Right.
Because that one on this side is for you, this one is for them. So both of you guys basically are not allowed to overtake. However, the law allows you to overtake certain types of vehicles. And it's usually vehicles which are traveling at 10 miles per hour. In other words, a bicycle or a road sweeper maybe, or something that's maybe putting grit on the road. So there can be various reasons that the law will allow you to overtake by cutting across these white lines. But this is the key factor here. 10 miles per hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
You must remember that. It's like if you were on your driving test, for example, and you came up behind a road sweeper and it was traveling at 5 miles an hour, and you had these two white lines on the center of the road, can you overtake?
Yes. No. I mean, yeah, you can.
That's it. That's what I want you to say. Yes, you can. If you were coming up behind a vehicle that's traveling along the road doing 20 miles per hour and you're on your driving test, can you overtake the vehicle to carry on your way, or do you have to wait behind it until these lines disappear?
Yeah, I think you have to you wait behind it before so that the when you can pass them when the lines change. I mean,
yes, that's correct. Yeah, that's exactly right. So they confuse things a little bit. They put these two white lines, and we all know they mean no overtaking. And then, of course, they throw in a question in, I guess, or an answer. And that's why you didn't understand that one. And I'm glad you flagged it, because I have to say that some people fail their driving test for this one.
yeah, there was a couple on there that like I flagged that I've had on the test, and I I couldn't remember the answer, so you know.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. That's what we're here for, isn't it?
Aye.
That's what I get paid for. Now, I'll just clear this here now. Now, this is towing something, yeah? This is quite an interesting one, actually. It's you probably don't understand what some of this stuff means. This nose weight. You know, that a nose weight in a vehicle basically is something. I don't know what kind of work is it you do.
Gardening, so
Yeah,
it's
so you would have trailers and stuff.
yeah.
Well, here's a good bit of news for you. If you were going to put too much weight on the trailer, all right, and it put too much weight on it, then the little ball hitch that you connect to the back of the vehicle, that's what's referred to as the nose. So if you put too much weight on that, it would break it.
Right.
So inside the manufacturer's handbook that comes with the vehicle, there has a little measurement in there that says that this is the maximum amount of weight you can put in this trailer. If you do that, if you put any more in it, it will cause the problem for the ball hitch and the nose weight.
Yeah, I wasn't too sure whether it meant like the weight is there's a set weight you can put in it, or it was like for each vehicle's different type thing. So, you know, didn't know if it would be like, is it in the highway code that just says this is how much you put in the trailer and that's it?
Yeah, well,
Type
you
thing.
probably find that anything that's to do with your car, like specifications like tire pressures, you know, weight of torque wrench settings for tightening up bolts and stuff like that. It all comes in the vehicle's handbook. So basically, if you get asked any questions, even on your driving test, which says, you know, be careful of this and be careful of that, where would you find the information out about? You'll find 9 times out of 10, you just need to say it's in the vehicle handbook.
Okay.
And that's normally where you get to.
Um,
Okay, so we got some of these markings that you find sometimes.
yeah.
Well, I mean, a lot of times the color of them helps you to remember what this is. They're basically to tell you that when you come up behind a vehicle, that if you go to overtake it, you're going to need more time than you normally would.
Yeah. On this one, I wasn't too sure. Like, I wasn't confident enough to put an answer. But
Yes.
and I remember on big lorries and stuff, and then the bottom corner. But I didn't know if I was just that would be a wrong question, and then we
Well,
wouldn't be
it's
able
a
to see it.
it's a good point you bring up, but in some lorries they have them and they're a different color.
Right.
They're actually red and white.
Oh.
And the reason why they're red and white is because it's to tell you that the vehicle's wider than it normally would be. Red and white means wider than a normal vehicle would be. So I always tell people, and this is a good thing you should write down, for width vehicles, so, as opposed to this one. This one is just to let you know that you've come up behind a large vehicle. But for really wide, it's dead easy because it's red and white. RW, really white. Really wide, red, white. You see? Good way to remember it. Really wide, red and white. That works out well, doesn't it? And if you remember that the one that means really wide is red and white, then guess what? You remember the one for the long vehicle is the other color, which is red and yellow.
Aye.
Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah. Is there like a different is there like a set number or anything that like the red and white ones are, that these red and yellow ones are different? Is it like, I don't know.
Yeah, they just basically have, it's basically so that the you know that you're coming up across something which is really long, you know, and for overtaking. And that's, you know, they also use these colors on stationary things to draw your attention to things, you know, like a skip,
Yeah,
you know, like a
yeah,
skip on the side of the road,
right.
red and
Oh,
yellow. Yeah, for skips.
right.
Yeah, you've probably seen a few of them in your day when you're doing the gardening now.
Yeah, yeah. So is that like, say for a skip, is that just to like alert you, or is that
Yeah,
you have to stay away from them as well, or?
yeah, it's just to alert you that you're getting close to something which is stationary and there's a danger possibly, you know.
Right.
But the one to remember, of course, is in the questions on the test. It always asks you this question, and it's trying to find out, do you know about it, because it's to do with the lorries overtaken,
Aye. Right.
and they call them large goods vehicles, of course. Instead, LGV is what they call it nowadays, and as opposed to anything else, it gets a name LGV.
Remember that.
Happy days. Okay, what do we got next?
Yeah, yeah. I wasn't too sure about this one at all. I didn't, you know.
Oh, it's quite an interesting one, this one. So basically, you probably it's a manual car you've been driving, isn't it?
Yeah.
Clutch and gearbox as opposed to an automatic. Yeah. A lot of people are driving automatics these days. That's why I asked you. They're becoming very popular, you know, with electric cars and all that lovely stuff.
Aye, they don't have the clutch and all that.
That's right. Pretty cool though. I think they're kind of cool, them cars actually. I'd love to have a Tesla.
I'd love a Tesla too, but
Yeah, they're just a bit expensive, aren't they?
oh yeah,
The
a
price
bit,
of a house, nearly, for goodness sake.
no,
Oh,
ridiculous.
you never know. You never know. Anyway, this thing about the gearbox is interesting though, because if you think about it on your car, right, when you're learning to drive, I suppose you can drive okay.
Aye, yeah,
Yeah, that's what happens. Usually, the people who sometimes have trouble with the theory test can drive, you know, better than me. So it's just the way it is. Yin and yang. We can't be good at everything, right?
that's it.
Yeah, no worries, my man. Don't worry about it. So this one here, right? When you're driving the engine, you'll understand this very easily, I bet you. If you start off in first gear, you know yourself, the engine starts to get noisy, doesn't it? And then you can't go on like that, so you change into second gear, don't you?
Aye,
And once the engine gets too noisy, you change into third. Now that can work in your benefit if you decide to come down a steep hill, because there's a thing that can happen in cars called brake fade. Have you heard of that before?
no.
Well, brake fade is basically something that's really horrendous. It happens in lorries more than it happens in cars, but it can happen in a car as well if you've got a load on, you know, like a trailer in the back, and
Yeah.
it's very heavy and you're coming down a steep hill. Well, what happens is the the brakes start to get warm, and they get so warm that they actually start to lose their ability to slow the car down.
Oh,
Yeah, and they call it brake fade. It happens, and it does happen a lot. You'd be surprised. So if you've got a chance that you're going to be driving a heavy vehicle, fully laden with people, and maybe a trailer in the back with some weight in it, maybe a caravan, I don't know, something like that, and you decide to come down a very steep hill, well, what you should do is you should put it into a low gear, like first gear or
right.
second gear, and bring the clutch up and let the engine control the speed of the car. In other words, the engine won't let the car go any faster than second gear speed.
Right.
It
Right.
won't let it go any faster, even if the car wanted to. It will sound pretty bad, by the way. It'll sound horrendous, actually. Big loud noise from the engine. It'll be screaming at you. But guess what it's doing? It's stopping the vehicle from going too fast. And by doing that, and also using your brake at the same time. Now, remember, this is only an extreme hill we're talking about. This is not going down the North Road or anything. This is coming down a hill which is like a 45-degree decline. That would be pretty steep. Maybe like the one over at Woodburn's pretty steep. If you were coming down that hill, or one of the country roads, that's very, very steep. Then you would maybe find that coming down that with a heavy load could cause your brakes to get too warm. Very unlikely. It would need to be for a long, long time, like maybe for half a mile or something. But it can happen in your driving career. So that's why they asked you this. If you ever drove in places like Cornwall, they have really, really steep hills, and they cause this problem a lot. Anyway, so by changing to first or second gear, keeping the clutch up, of course, and using your brake, you will stop the brakes from getting too warm. And by stopping them from getting too warm, you will reduce the chances of the vehicle losing control and having no brakes at the bottom of the hill, which is pretty bad news.
Aye.
Exactly. Yeah. Happy enough?
Yeah. That one's ground.
So then let me just give you a little bit of a quiz then. So if you decide to come down a steep hill in a car and it's very heavy load, is it better to select a high gear or a low gear?
Low gear.
There you go. Don't get them confused, because some people get that confused sometimes. If you notice that it's on the question there, once it says high gear, which is third or fourth, low gear is first or second.
Right. First or second.
Yes, that's it. So some people, I'll tell you why the reason people get them confused. And this is another question for you, actually. It's something that you might come across in your test as well. So tell me this one then. So say you were trying to move off in snow or ice.
Oh.
Would you want to use a low gear, or would you want to use a high gear? Low gear or high gear?
See, I've been told two
choice.
different things by different people. So,
okay,
but I think
think
it's low, but I'm not too sure.
Before you give an answer, right?
All right.
I want you to think about in your mind. Mechanical stuff. I know you do. I can already tell that you'd be pretty good at driving. I bet you. So, what I'm saying to you is, think about it in your mind. In an engine, the way an engine works. What gear is the most powerful gear in a car, and what gear is the fastest gear in a car? Is it first gear or fifth gear is the most powerful? Think about the difference between power and speed. What goes the fastest, fifth gear or first gear? What makes you go the fastest, fifth gear or first gear? How fast can you go in first gear?
Oh, well, you can go, was it like 10, 15?
Yep. How fast can you go in fifth gear?
It's 50, 60 maybe?
Yeah.
Like that.
So here we go. Inside your mind, power is determined as not being fast in driving. Power is determined as being like an elephant, slow, but being able to push down a wall of a house. That's power. And power is not good for trying to move off in slippy surfaces. Too much power makes the wheels spin. The wheels will spin faster, but you put too much power into something, the wheels will start to spin. So the last thing you want is a powerful gear to move off on slippy surfaces. You want a gear which is not used for power. You want one that's used for speed. And for some reason that works better. So the question I ask you now is, if you're moving off in snow, what gear would you use? Low or high?
High because of the speed?
Yep.
Right. Okay.
See, don't try to think about these questions in a way that the highway code tells you, because you'll not get them right, because you have to use your own knowledge and your own intelligence, because you can understand that better. Sometimes the way other people explain things are not the way that you'll understand them. And sometimes that's just the way it is. So what you have to do, first of all, is think to yourself, okay, I know about engines, right? So let me work this out. Think about power. Remember, power is always first gear, is the most powerful gear in a car, but it's got no speed attached to it. And I like to use animals as a way of remembering this. Elephant for power, and cheetah, the fastest animal in the world. The fastest mammal in the world, should I say, is a cheetah. That's power. That's is an elephant. Cheetah is speed. And you don't get them confused then.
Elephant,
And first gear is always the powerful gear. The most powerful gear in the car. Can pull down the house, so it can. Now you're getting it, you see? See, a lot of time, these questions, as I've tried to explain to you now, because I already know how to get you through this test, it's not necessarily about the questions with you. It's about how you understand them and how you read them. And how you understand them, basically. You get confused a little bit by letting your mind race a little bit and trying to answer a question, and you're thinking, oh God, and you're up and down there, you just have to just try to remember one thing only about the question. Remember one thing only about the question, and let all the rest of the stuff go confusing, if you like. And that's whenever you get asked a question about the traffic lights, for example, then you only need to remember one thing. There is only one traffic light, which is different than all the rest. It's called a Pelican, and it has a flashing light. Yep. You don't need to remember every traffic light or every pedestrian crossing in the world. You don't need to remember all that. You only need to remember the one that's different than everything else. Then you've just taken out over 15 questions that you could be asked in the highway code on your test by that one little thing. You see, so I ask you now, what's the only traffic light that has a different color of light in it?
The Pelican Crossing.
Yes, and what is that light that's different?
It's the flashing amber. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. See?
Yep.
Now you've got it. And you see, that's the secret to learning, is to find out how you learn yourself, how you learn as an individual, and how to remember things is by using what we're just after doing there, memory triggers. Don't remember the whole question, just remember the bit that's important. And you do that, you'll remember the whole thing then. Everything will fit together for you. And that's why you're getting questions wrong, because you're trying to remember all of it, all of the questions, all of the answers. You just look for the bit in it that's confusing, the bit that you don't understand, learn that little bit, and then forget about all the white noise, if you like, all the stuff that's confusing you, sending your head into a bit of a spin there, and that's all it is. It's as simple as that. And I know I make it sound simple. I know it's not easy when you're sitting in front of a camera doing a test, and when you go up to the test center to do it, it's pressure, But a lot of the time, the reason is because people start to think about too many things. They think about all the things, all the different traffic lights, all the things going through their mind. And that's it. Okay, I'm just doing a quick recap on what we've done now, so as to make sure that you've got everything that we've talked about into your head. So just to finish us off, my friend, believe it or not, this time flies when you're having fun, isn't it?
Oh, are we nearly over?
It's actually 6:30 now. I have another student coming in after you. I leave 10 minutes in a break in between, so I can get a cup of coffee and go for a run around the garden and come back in again. Keep myself fit, So let me just go through some of these questions to make sure that we're happy with what we've done so far this evening. Go back to number 1 first, and then I'm just going to quickly go through it, see if you know. Okay. Now, you explained to me a little bit about why you need to look further ahead of yourself on a motorway.
You want me to explain? Yeah.
Yes, please. Why do you need to look further ahead on a motorway?
So that you can, if there's an accident or if someone's pulled out, is that
Yep. No, you're right.
yeah.
You're right. Don't keep chasing it. Don't keep chasing the answer. You got it right straight away there. It's because you have to look further in case there's an accident. And you're traveling at a faster speed, so you'll travel very quickly towards that problem. So you need to look further ahead of yourself so that you can react sooner and start taking your foot off the accelerator and using the brake. Good man. Okay, here's the question that you love now the most.
Yep.
And I think we know this one, don't we?
Yeah, we know.
We know that the flashing amber light comes at the Pelican, and you've got to make sure that everybody gets off the crossing that you like. Not just everybody you like. That's another bad joke. All right, let's try again. Next one. So here we got two white lines in the center of the road. And you're on your driving test now, and you're driving along this road. And guess what? It's unlucky for you, but you come across an old age pensioner in one of those motor scooters. It'll probably be me the way things is going. And I'm only traveling at 5 miles per hour. So can you overtake me and cross these white lines, or do you have to wait until a next?
No, you have to wait until the single white line.
Now, I'll say the question again.
Or
You're on your driving test. It's me now. I'm driving a motor scooter,
right.
and I'm only doing 7 miles per hour. Can you overtake me on your driving test and cut across these white lines? Or do you have to wait till the single dotted line again? Now, what's the key bit you have to remember here?
The speed.
So I'll look at it. There's the speed there. This is me. I'm traveling at 10 miles per hour, or less than 10 miles an hour.
Yeah. You have to wait on. You have to wait.
No, you don't.
No, wait, no.
You've got it back to front, you see. It's okay. Remember, it's below 10 miles per hour. If it's 10 miles an hour or below, I said I was doing 7 miles per hour.
Yeah.
I said I was doing 7, didn't I?
Yeah,
So
I did. I even know I know the back to front thing. Overtake.
No worries.
Right.
No problem. So basically, the two white lines mean you can't overtake and can't cross them. But guess what? If there's a slow moving vehicle below 10 miles an hour, you are allowed to overtake. Yep. All right. That makes sense?
Yep.
Good man. So you've got a trailer to tow in your vehicle, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, the trailer's quite big, and you're going to put on 3 ton of weight, and you're thinking, God, is that too much weight going onto that trailer? Well, where would you check to find it? Can the trailer take that weight, or the nose can hold that pressure?
In the handbook, the vehicle's handbook.
Vehicle's handbook. So say you're driving a vehicle and you want to know what type of tires you're meant to put on the vehicle. Where could you find that information?
Vehicle handbook, yeah.
Correct. Just remember that. Now, anything to do with the car that you need to find out, you go to the vehicle handbook. Okay, so you come across these on the back of a vehicle. What is it you need to be careful of? These markings.
Lorries, or large goods vehicles.
Yes, and why do you have to be careful when you see these markings? What is it going to affect? What's it going to affect?
Is it when you see them, you have to go out wider?
Oh, you're nearly there. What does it tell you about a vehicle if you see a red and yellow markings on the back of it? Does it say it's wider or longer?
Red, what? It's really wide,
Okay, so if it was red and white, it would be really wide.
Oh,
this one is
red, white,
red and yellow, which means it's long.
Long.
It's a large goods vehicle, which means it's long. So that means when you overtake it, you've got to, remember it's long. And that means when you overtake it, you have to be careful because you're going to need more time to overtake it, aren't you? You're going to need more time. And that's the reason why you have to be careful when you overtake a vehicle with a red and yellow markings on it.
Good, yeah.
Well, that's been great. Well done. A lot of times you find that this sort of stuff, once we start to get into it, we'll get to the bottom of this soon enough, and we'll get you